So Adam mentioned something about insight, and I think that's really important. Is it? You know, there's a huge amount of capability there now. We've seen the last 18 months digital transformation taking off like we've never seen it before. Many organizations are adopting digital service where they may not have selected them before, or even adopted cloud services where they may not have done so before. And so the insight that we need is now possibly more fragmented than it ever was, but it's still so important, right?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think what we were relying on here, as we were sort of saying, is, you know, being able to block known threats. So known threats comes through threat intelligence. So if I just kind of put that into a bit of perspective, so every single day, Microsoft collects and processes and analyzes over 8 trillion signals. So that's coming through the endpoints, it's coming through the cloud, it's coming through search engines, and you're trying to make sense of all of these things. And that comes with behavior analytics, it's machine learning, it's all of those things. And that goes into a big feedback loop, as Rob was sort of saying, into that technology layer. And it's really then trying to sort of say where those known threats are, can you automatically build in and block those known threats? But as we sort of know, with regards to the threat landscape and how the attackers are continuing to evolve, and also they're learning and they understand our defenses. So they're understanding where the weaknesses are, the vulnerabilities. And as we know, they'll use any which way in, and they're not particularly bothered, let's be honest, about how they get in. So it could be, you know, as we said, credential theft, compromised endpoints, it can be vulnerabilities in servers, it can be a myriad of things. And that's the reality of what we're trying to deal with. So potentially we're always playing catch up to a certain extent. And then the threat intelligence and the degree of intelligence, not just from someone like Microsoft, but obviously the multiple other threat companies and vendors and all that kind of thing. And we're all working together. But it really, what we're trying to do is, if we assume compromise, that's really the key. And we assume compromise at any point in that network, any point in the estate. It could be from an on-prem, it's cloud, it's multi-cloud, multiple different devices and all sorts of things. Then it's about our ability to detect all those anomalies. And as Rob was sort of saying, is we then have to be able to track and trace, you know, assuming we've seen anomaly, assuming we've got compromise, then what? And if you're having to spend time looking at disparate tools and technologies, and I think one of the things that we identify is sometimes you have gaps in visibility, sometimes you have duplication, and sometimes you'll have technology that cross over each other as well. So it's actually very difficult to be able to go across multiple point solutions, hence the value of the XDR and actually being able to bring all of that into play and correlate all of those things. And that's why the human element is actually so important. The technology will go so far, but as we sort of said, then bringing in the human element of the correlation, making sense of what's going on. Is this new? Is it different? Is it campaign? Are we targeted? All of those sort of things are so important.
Yeah, absolutely.